Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to On Point Live right here from the Manhattan Beach Studios. I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Super Bowl quarterback with the Los Angeles Rams. Alongside of me is my former teammate, 20-year NFL legend, Hall of Famer Jackie Slater. And Jackie, yesterday you were at Rams camp, and you had a chance to talk to Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. How's Cooper Kupp's high ankle sprain?
First of all, I felt like a kid talking to those guys. I'm just as big a fan as
Wait,
anybody.
did you ask him, do you know who I am?
No, I wanted to make sure they knew who I was when I walked up towards them,
Yeah.
And both of them did, and welcomed me with a huge smile. I asked Cooper Kupp how was he doing, and he's coming back from that high ankle sprain surgery that he had. And he's also dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue, nothing major. But, man, what a great kid he is. I mean, just so respectful. And
Did he have his kids on the field, Jackie?
No, when I saw him, he was coming off the field, I guess, to
right.
go into the locker room and everything. But he stopped and visited with me, man, and I'm just enamored with this guy. He's
a nice guy.
Between here, I'm trying to decide who's my favorite Ram between he and Aaron Donald, because I've talked to Aaron Donald as well, and Aaron, what a sweetheart of a guy. I expected him to come over all with his teeth all. I expected that, but I got the human side of Aaron Donald, which is I think very few people really get to know. He's a real nice kid. He loves what he's doing. You can tell he has a lot of pride in what he's doing. Same thing with Cooper Kupp, and that's why they're paid the way they're paid. That's why they're revered the way that they're revered. Their teammates look up to them. You can tell with every single interaction that I saw that they're special people, first of all. And then when you throw in what they're capable of doing on the football field, Vince, it's just a rare opportunity to meet two guys that are so good as professional football players, but they're even better men when you talk to them. I was impressed.
I've noticed the same thing too, Jackie, because they're always open to you and they can create a conversation real easy with you. They recognize who you are and they're aware of their surroundings. And, I just think that's a good quality to have, to be open to people and be able to communicate. And that's how they do it. They do that on the field as well, Jackie.
Absolutely. With all of the players. And I saw Aaron communicating. They got a lot of young guys, defensive linemen especially. Yeah. And I saw Aaron interacting with those guys and doing different things, showing them different things, and and never lost his steam in practice, by the way.
Yeah.
But he's just an impressive couple of guys to be around and to watch. I would buy season tickets to the Rams just to go and see those two guys play.
Well, their practices are very popular now, especially with the summer pre-camp
I
going
couldn't believe how many people were at training camp. There were so many people. I mean, I felt like I was at the Orange County Fair. I wanted to ask where the turkey legs?
They had the food going on, didn't they?
They had food here and there, and they did a fantastic job of taking care of us when we were out there.
Yeah.
But these guys are just so special, and the Rams are lucky to have them.
Well, Jackie, we got to switch gears here. We're going to talk about our predictions of what's going to happen this year, and I think we're going to concentrate today on the South divisions, the NFC, AFC. Let's first start with the AFC South division,
okay,
Jackie. And we have to talk about first with the Titans, the Tennessee Titans. It's a tale of two seasons, Jackie, because last year they were having a really good season until Week 11. They beat the Packers. Then they went on a 7-game losing streak, Jackie, and they lost their final game for their divisional foe against the Jaguars. They had a chance to go in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Jackie, what happened to the team? Why did they dismantle
Well,
that?
first of all, it was very un-Vrabel-like on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that had anything to do with the fact that there were 23 guys that were out with injuries at the end of the season. For them, that's a lot of injuries to have to overcome. Yeah. But when I look at the Tennessee Titans, this is what I know. Mike Vrabel is an excellent defensive mind. He learned under Bill Belichick. He played for him and everything. And when you look at what happened to his defense a year ago, they were they were tied for number one defense in the fewest number of rushing yards allowed per attempt. 3.4 rushing yards per attempt was the very best in the National Football League. They were tied with the San Francisco 49ers. But the problem was, Vince, they ended up being 23rd overall in the league total defense. Now, that tells me that there's some problems with coverage.
They had a collapse in the secondary or in the linebacker position.
There's some problem with coverage. And Vince, when you think about it, just like in the running game, teams that have a tendency to run the ball real well, they usually stop the run.
Right.
And that's what Tennessee does. They run the ball real well, and they stop the run. That's their emphasis. They don't. It's not like they have a blazing, passing attack or anything. So consequently, Perhaps the guys are doing all the different coverages that they need to do. Perhaps they need to add coverages. Perhaps they're not playing as well in the coverages that they have. So, those two kind of go hand in hand. Good offensive passing game, good defensive pass coverage. Good running game, good run defense. And that's what we kind of saw. And so I'm expecting, when I look at the Tennessee Titans, I'm expecting Mike Vrabel to right all these wrongs this offseason. Right. Because when you think about it, Derrick Henry is getting older.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Derrick Henry, Jack. He's going to be 30 years old. Okay,
he's going to be 30 years old.
And, he's in his second to last year of his contract.
Right.
And this guy is a superhero, Jackie. He is the force that really gets this team off the snide, right?
Absolutely.
They can really depend on him running the football. And, Jackie, he's led the league in the last 4 years, 3 of the last 4 years in the amount of carries.
Absolutely. So he's got a workload. There's no doubt about it. They loaded up.
How can he keep going at age 30? And he's a big running back, Jackie.
Big physical guy. There's no doubt about it. But, Vince, one of the reasons why, he's hung on to Tannehill as his quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't saying he made some pretty special throws at pretty unique times when they needed to have been made, but consistently he's not throwing the football all over the field and just airing it out because that's not who they are. And I happen to believe that the success that they're having in their passing game centers around people stacking the box to stop Derrick Henry. If you're focusing on stopping what you think they do best, and that's the running game, then you're not going to put a whole lot of time into, coverages and everything. So to me, I think Mike Vrabel is going to have to, get on his high horse and turn things around in his secondary, because that's where they were really lacking as a team.
You mentioned the quarterbacks too, Jackie. You're talking about Ryan Tannehill, and they drafted Will Levis this year from Kentucky, Jackie, and they have high hopes for this young quarterback stepping in. But so much of it depends on experience factor and that young quarterback taking. But they mentioned some comment about Will Levis that I've never heard of before, Jackie. They said he does not play with a repetitive rhythm. What?
Well, I don't know.
What is it? Or repeatable rhythm? What? I mean.
No, Vince, don't ask me that. You should be telling me what a repetitive rhythm.
I'm a quarterback. I never heard of it.
I never heard that term used before either. And I can only imagine that maybe there's some times when the pressure gets in his face and the ball comes out quicker and not as accurate as it should. Yeah. But, we got to figure out what repetitive
rhythm is.
What repetitive rhythm is
I don't know.
For a quarterback.
We'll figure that out soon. But that's the Titans. And, so I think for them to, I was really surprised that last year they did as poorly as they did because of Vrabel and what he brings to the table. But I think there might be a bounce back this coming year for that team.
I certainly hope so.
We got to go to another team.
By the way, they had the 32nd ranked offensive line in all of pro football. So, that can make the repetitive rhythm be off a little bit as well.
A little jittery, maybe back there.
A little bit jittery.
Well, we got to talk about the Houston Texans, Jackie. This team here enters the season with a new star at offense, a new star on defense, and a new coach, Jackie. So, I mean, this is very interesting to see the development that's going on in Houston right now. And with DeMeco Ryans, Jackie, he adds a lot of spice to this team because of his knowledge that he took from San Francisco, Jackie, on the defensive side. So here's another defensive-minded head coach in the AFC South. So, Jackie, I see this team as surprising a lot of people because, as you know, I'm big on C.J. Stroud.
I know that.
I like C.J. Stroud. Jackie, what's your assessment of this team with Will Anderson, their number one pick again in the first round, along with C.J. Stroud on defense? These guys can add a lot to this team.
Well, first of all, if you think about who they added, it's all critical. They're all critical guys because they're all leaders, and they're defensive leaders. Mm-hmm. Is what they're expecting from Will Anderson. They are offensive leaders, what they're expecting from C.J. Stroud, and they're head coaching leaders, what they're expecting from DeMeco Ryans. Now, DeMeco Ryans did a fantastic job, in my opinion. He brought over Matt Burke as his defensive coordinator, and he brought over Bobby Slowick as his offensive coordinator.
So he was the offensive pass game coordinator with the 49ers for 6 years. So they've worked together, Jackie. They know each other.
Absolutely. So there's going to be some continuity there. But, Vince, you know and I know that every time we've seen coaching changes there, and particularly when you adding new quarterbacks and you adding new defensive leaders like Will Anderson over here, you have to expect the process to be a slow, arduous process for them to be competing with the best teams, not only in their conference, but the best team in their divisions. So when I look at what they've done down there in with the Texans, I get excited about DeMeco Ryans. I get excited about CJ. I mean, this guy, CJ Stroud, who he threw 41 touchdowns to 12 interceptions over his last couple of years at Ohio State, and they just can't stop talking about how leadership just oozes from this guy at all times. So I think they got the people in place. The one area that concerns me a little bit, as always, is their offensive line is ranked 25 overall in the National Football League. That's not a good number to be, to be sporting when you're featuring all of these special quarterbacks and all of that stuff. But I think that when you think about Will Anderson, I want to mention him just briefly because he was the third pick in the draft, very high. There is people expecting a lot of Micah Parsons, what he's doing in Dallas. They're expecting Lawrence Taylor-like performances from this guy. And he delivered that when he was in college all the time. And that can energize the defense. So when I look at the new leadership, the head coach, the quarterback, and the defensive coordinator, the first thing that comes to my mind in light of DeMeco Ryans' background is that they're going to have a good defense. They're going to play defense as well as anybody in the game, and I don't expect them to be slow out of the gates there. Where we got to watch for the growth and the gradual growth. It might be a bit arduous, certainly with that offensive line that they have, is on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, this is my take, and I agree with you. Defense wins. But Bobby Slowick, when he comes now from the 49ers, I think he's going to have a big impression on C.J. Stroud. And with Damian Pierce, their running back, he was shy of 1,000 yards last year, Jackie, before he got hurt.
And he had two games where he had 132 yards rushing.
Right, exactly.
2 games.
So he can produce on the ground. Now, regardless of the offensive line, that's really a must area that they're going to have to improve on. But I still think that when you have this coercion of the coach and the quarterback and a decent runner, things do look on the bright side.
Yeah, it does.
So I would have to say the 5.5 games over and under, Jackie. Thinking our prediction here.
Yeah.
What do you think? They're going to win more than 5 games?
They're going to win more than 5 games.
I do too, and I think this could be the surprise team in the NFL.
Definitely
so
going to
just look for Houston.
Definitely going to win more than 5 games, Vince. And I'm looking forward to one of the reasons why I think that this arduous process, as I call it, is going to be speeded up a little bit. Is DeMeco Ryans has already gone on record as saying, I'm going to play my starters in the preseason. So he realizes that they have to create some continuity, and the best way to do that is in the preseason by letting the guys play.
They have 3 games, Jackie. They're not experienced veterans, but in 3 games, if they play a number of downs, they'll gain some experience to prepare them for the regular season. And I'm not saying it's going to make the biggest difference, but at least to start the season, they're going to be off to better footing to start the season.
Absolutely. And you know what? Don't want to jump around to the Rams too much, but that's one thing that I believe Sean McVay, he just came out and said, we're going to abandon some of the things that we've done in the past. We're going to play our guys in the preseason.
That's
the way you build that continuity.
About 50% of their team are either rookies or first-year guys, Jackie. They're going to need some work in
They're going to need some reps. They're going to need the reps.
Well, the next team we got to talk about is the Indianapolis Colts. Here's a team, Jackie, last year that they went with Matt Ryan, and they released Matt Ryan. They acquired a new head coach, sent Frank Wright. Jeff Saturday couldn't get the job done.
Right out of the ESPN boots.
He couldn't come from broadcasting and back into coaching. But how are they going to do this year, Jackie? Because they've got a new coach in Shane Steichen, and we've seen Shane do marvelous things with quarterbacks.
We have.
And what he's been able to do with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, Jackie. Who was before that?
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. Chargers.
Two different types of quarterbacks. 2 different types of quarterbacks.
That's what's surprising. Okay, but the Jalen Hurts situation, and then now with Anthony Richardson, they picked up him in the first round. Do you see this team is trying to duplicate the success that the Philadelphia team had offensively and bring it over here to the Colts?
And that's a good question, Vince. And I think the reason why you asked that question is because you see this young quarterback that they just drafted, Anthony Richardson, more closely aligned to Jalen Hurts with his skill set.
With the skill, because he's very athletic, Jack.
Very
athletic.
Very athletic is putting in mile events. This guy went to the combine and he broke and set standard records for the quarterback that has ever been with all of the physical skills. This guy's off the charts with his physical athletic ability. There's no doubt about that. But when I think about, this football team, I'm thinking, okay, Shane Steichen did a fantastic job with Justin Herbert, just throwing the football around,
Mm-hmm.
and they had an interesting running attack as well. We saw what he did with Jalen Hurts over at the Philadelphia Eagles. Design runs for him, safe runs actually behind some of their better blockers. I expect to see some of that, especially, and I keep on bringing this up, Vince. They have the number 10 ranked offensive line in all of pro football.
Okay,
number 10.
Okay, now similar to Philadelphia.
Absolutely. Philadelphia has the number 1 rated offensive line in all of pro football.
But you got probably the best guard in football, and Quentin Nelson.
Well, Quentin, I don't know if he's the best guard in pro football because some people
he's up there pretty high.
They just paid a guy down in Atlanta over $105 million and call him the best run blocking offensive lineman in all of pro football. Yeah. But Quentin Nelson is no joke. He's a legitimate big time baller. What I like about Shane Steichen, that Shane Steichen, his support is going to be coming from his coordinators, man. He went out and he hired Jim Bob Cooter as his offensive coordinator. And he hired Gus Bradley as his defensive coordinator. Yes. And along with that big offensive line, I'm telling you right now, for me, Shane Steichen is the guy that I think is a wild card. Even though I don't have them ranked very high in their division, I think that you can improve as a football team if you stay on the field. And if you stay on the field, that means that you have a very productive offensive line. And so for me, when I look at all the things that are in place here, I can see them oozing on up toward the top. Shane Steichen is a great football mind.
Can their defense help them get over the pick of wins, 6.5 wins for the season, Jackie? So over and under 6.5, I'm really doubtful whether that can happen. Well, I predict they're going to be under 6.
Well, I'm kind of like you, and I want to be optimistic about them because they do so well up front. But there's some other elements that has to be improved upon, that they got to play a whole lot better at. And then, Anthony Richardson, man, he only played, what did he play, 13? He had 13 starts in college?
Yeah.
I'm all for the big athletic guys, and I know he's got a great temperament and he's a great person. Remember how he stayed up after everybody at the rookie combine there they had and cleaned up?
Yeah, cleaned the
room up. That
was huge.
A measurable amount of discipline and caring. He's got the right kind of heart, but how fast? 13 starts at the Division II college level, that's not a lot.
It's not enough.
It's not a lot. So if they're going to go with this guy, his success is going to hinge on the way the offensive line is playing in the run game, and certainly the way they incorporate him in the read option game, because I got a feeling he's going to be running with the football quite a bit.
And Jim Bob Cooter has work cut out for him. He's going to have to devise a few plays for this guy. But I think if they take advantage of his athleticism, Jackie, put him in the best positions to be successful, I think they have a better chance to win if they put him in a position where they can take advantage of his skills.
At the quarterback position, You're right.
Well, the last team we got to talk about, Jackie, is the Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars. This team was in the playoffs last year, and they've been surprising more and more people each and every year since they've hired Doug Peterson as coach.
Key.
That's the key guy, right? That's the key
Wouldn't
guy.
you say? That guy, he's won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years as a coach.
Well, let me tell you, he's got a staff that he's assembled there. Press Taylor is his offensive coordinator, Jackie. Okay, he's been with Philadelphia 7 years. Okay, so he knew him again. Mm-hmm. He knew him from his previous coaching staff. He also has Mike McCoy, the quarterback coach.
Right.
All right. So much of what's been developed, they helped develop Phillip Rivers. They helped with Peyton Manning, develop these kind of players. So they've got a quarterback now that came in the first round.
Right.
Okay,
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence can play some football, and he's been doing so well this year or last year. So what's your take on this team as they head into this season, Jackie? Can they repeat? Can they get back in the playoffs and go a little further this year?
Well, I think as long as they got the head guy, Doug Peterson there, they have to be in contention. You have to take this team seriously. They got running back Travis Etienne there on board, a couple of other really nice runners. But the thing about Trevor Lawrence to me, as I've watched his maturation process, is that Trevor Lawrence a year ago was as solid as any quarterback playing the game, as consistent as any quarterback playing this game in a fairly new system. And if you remember, the Chargers had a big lead against them. Huge lead against them, 27 points. And he systematically, watching the game, he systematically moved the ball down the field and took his shot when he had to and made big plays. That told me that this guy is patient and he understands what he's looking at over there on the defensive side of the ball. Doug Peterson is teaching this guy and tooling this guy. And I think right now, I'm going to ask you, I want your opinion on it, whether or not he's going to be a guy that's going to be in the conversation for the MVP. But Trevor Lawrence, to me, is the key to this whole outfit. This football team has some great players on the offensive side of the ball. They have some really good players on the defensive side of the ball. They drafted number 1 overall a couple of years ago, big pass rushing defensive lineman. Then they got a shutdown corner that can really play. So to me, they got the pieces in place. Yeah. It's Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence. Those are going to be the key. And one other little thing, Vince, that concerns me a bit is that they have the 26th ranked offensive line in all of pro football. That's not very good. Yeah. And if any quarterback is getting hit in the lips too often, we're going to have a problem.
That's been resonating with the AFC South, though, division. Their offensive line has not been ranked very high throughout the whole division.
Absolutely, throughout the whole division. And that's the reason why I didn't dock them too bad on that. And I'm trusting that the improvements that they made are going to be significant enough to keep people off this guy.
Yeah, and that's where the cleverness and the schematic scheme that these coaches will put in with Doug Peterson. How are they going to take advantage of some of their skills and also, take advantage
cover up the liabilities,
cover up the weakness too. Okay, so that's
you got to cover
that's
up the liabilities.
But to answer your question about Trevor Lawrence, so Jackie,
is he going to be in the topic? Can you really see that?
I really
Justin Herbert. You got a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, he came out. I was very impressed with him in college, the way he played at Clemson. Jackie, he came out as a freshman and had a sensational year, and that's tough to do. Well, I was also impressed that he was able to adjust to 2 different head coaches, and just hang in there. And you see the way they were composed against the Chargers. 27 points down in that divisional playoff game.
And
they came back.
And then the following week, they only lost by 1 touchdown to Kansas City.
And they're staying pat basically with their defense, Jackie. I think they believe there's a certain amount of belief with this team. And that goes a long way with the psyche of the player.
Right.
Okay, that if the coaches believe in me, hey, we weren't the best, but they still believe in me, I'm going to produce even more next year.
Right.
So this is the kind of attitude, I think, and is this what I get from this team. So as the former AFC divisional champion, Jackie, with the Jaguars, how do you rank their division this year? The Jags, the Titans.
I got some questions here and there.
Yeah. But who do you rank the top?
But because we had to do this and numerically number these guys, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars number 1 there.
Okay, I agree with that.
I've got the Tennessee Titans number 2 because I can't see Mike Vrabel not improving the defense from 23rd overall. They've got to get better, and I think they will. And then number 3, I have the Texans. And the reason why I have the Texans that low, I could get ease higher. They could ease higher. But the reason why I have them there is because I know it's going to be an arduous process, which will be sped up because you're going to play players in the preseason. But there's an arduous process that has to take place to get everybody functioning. And all of their leaders, the head coach, the defensive leader, Will Anderson, and then also C.J. Stroud are all brand new guys. So they're going to have some growing pains there. And then last, I got Shane Steichen in the coach. And here again, I just went on about him. He's got the number 10 rank. He's got the highest ranked offensive line in this particular division. So I mean, I can see him making a move there. But start out, I got him number 4.
Jackie, put it there. Put it there, man. I have to agree with you because everything you said, I could disagree, but I like the Jags to win it. I do like the Titans. I think Mike Vrabel will have a bounce back here.
I do too.
I don't see him staying pat where he was last year. And I think the Texans are going to be the surprise team. They might edge up close. They might even be in the playoffs.
You never know.
That's a possibility. And then the Colts. And I think between the Texans and the Colts, I think the Texans I think they have a little bit more pizzazz. I think I just like their team a little bit better as the season
and trust me, the people that they're going to be depending on that are new there in that, both new to the team and then new in the league, they're going to get plenty of playing experience in this preseason to make sure they can get on the same page and know what's expected to them, both intensity-wise and assignment-wise.
Well, that kind of does it for the AFC South, Jackie. And so, we encourage our viewers to always subscribe to our YouTube channel, On Point Live with Vince and Jackie. And don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, on.point.live. So, Jackie, it's always fun to come out and do these predictions. So I hope we're right because both of us are in agreement.
Which is rare.
Yeah. So until next time, Jackie, stay on point.